Welcome back to Twins at Law. What's up, Fletch?
Nothing's up, Fletch. What's up with you?
Nothing, man. Going to talk some Celtics.
Oh, my favorite basketball team. I love them with all my heart. Living in L.A., there's nothing that makes me feel better than to get to talk shit about those rotten, racist pieces of shit.
You have to admit, though, when you watch that ESPN 60 on 60 or whatever, and it's about the
double it, huh? It's not 30 on 30. It's 60 on 60.
It feels like it because it's so traumatic when they're doing the whole series on LA, Boston, and you're watching that motherfucker.
Oh, it reminds me how bad I hate Larry
Dude,
Bird.
I got on a plane and I didn't watch the rest of it,
right.
and people next to me were like, "We won that game, right?" I'm like, "That's what I was saying, right?" That shit.
Well,
was
I always
great.
mark that shit up too because, man, back then I was doing a lot of heavy drinking. First lawyers, you're sitting there making some money, you're going to all these functions. You're always good for the start of the game. Last of the game, a little bit fuzzy.
Yeah.
A little bit fuzzy.
All right.
Great Super Bowl story. My friend, when the Falcons were up 32 points. Was it 30, 23?
It was 28.
When they're playing the Falcons, whatever.
It was against Tom Brady.
They're playing Tom Brady, and she has wanted them to win her whole life. And at halftime, she stands up and starts doing this huge, 5-shot thing of tequila, passes out, wakes up the next day, and she's calling. She said, "We lost."
And my pussy sore for some reason. Tom Brady, on the same topic, he just said to Giselle Fernandez, "Peace."
Giselle Fernandez.
What's her name? Oh,
Man.
Giselle Fernandez is my chick from Miami, by the way.
Wow. Well, she's on Spectrum News.
What's her name? Giselle
Bundchen?
or whatever. Tom Brady was like, "Peace."
You think he broke up with her?
I think it's pretty clear. Pretty clear. She wanted him to quit, and he's like, "No." He's like, "Besides, have you
I'm
seen
sure
me?"
she'll bounce back all right.
So will Tom.
Let's talk about the Boston Celtics. And as usual, the issue is the fix is in. And no matter what appears, you always have to look a little bit behind the scenes to see what's going on. This handsome young man here, let's watch my brother destroy his name. What's his name, Michael?
I don't know. Adokwu?
Ime Udoka.
Adokwa.
It's Udoka.
Which is African for I like portly white chicks.
So why are you saying that, Michael? Because my understanding is this handsome young man is married or has a baby with a very beautiful African-American actress named Nia Long.
Well, he forgot the rule that is everything's okay until you fuck a white chick.
Oh, because then what happens? It's magical pussy or something?
if you're Emmett Till, they light you on fire.
Right.
If you work in Boston.
First, they didn't burn him. They beat the living shit out
I
of him.
thought they burned him then.
No. They used a open casket so the mom could show his horrible torture.
All right, there you go.
So the whole joke about this is that Ime Udoka is the coach for the Boston Celtics. And it's been going on for about a couple months, but it allegedly began probably 6 months ago to a year when there's a gentleman who happens to be a senior VP of some sort of the Boston Celtics.
African-American senior VP.
Certainly he's an African-American. As you know, Boston probably has a majority of the upper management is African-American.
100%.
Or zero.
Or zero.
One of the two. So this gentleman has a job as a VP, and he has a wife, and he's Mormon. And nope, this is the owner's wife. This is actually the owner of the Celtics' wife. His name's Wyc Grousbeck. And the interesting thing about Wyc, Mr. Grousbeck here, is he had a very emotional news conference when he had to say,
you got to get the background.
We're going to have to let Ime Udoka, we're going to have to suspend him for a year because he has violated the ethics and the principles of the Boston Celtics. Because why?
Mr. Udoka had an affair with a married Mormon white chick whose husband was a member of the staff of the administration of the Celtics.
Right.
And according to the Celtics, the issue is that Udoka would be suspended for the year. Now, understand, our last show, was it Shraver we were dealing with then? The niggers in back,
right.
Nigger.
Right.
He was suspended for a year.
1 whole year.
2 weeks later, Udoka was suspended for a year because, according to the Boston Celtics, he violated their team policy of dating people who work in the office.
And you remember the Phoenix Suns owner had made these incredibly racist comments.
Nigger.
You calling someone
Nigger.
over and over to an African-American, Hispanic-American, saying I can say whatever I want. Multiple comments about putting his dick in people's
Right.
faces. It's just horrendous. And as we said, it ain't going to end for him. And he's announced that he has to sell the team, probably not just because of this podcast, but we played a significant
He did
role
say
in it.
the podcast caused it.
Yeah.
And he
"I'm gonna
said,
get
nig-
you,
he said,
niggers."
half nigger, half niggers. So, oh,
White person.
but this Boston Celtics side, what's crazy about this? Now, Matthew and I, of course, have different opinions on this. I think this is just a black person problem,
Right.
And I'm down for the cause, but the idea that African Americans would allow Udoka to be suspended for a year, and as it turns out, the Celtics did all of this. They were like, oh my God. There was all types of abuse and all of this. Nope. He was just fucking one chick. They suspended him for a year for fucking one chick.
Which brings up an interesting point that apparently the Celtics hired a private law firm to do an investigation of this. And it's what a lot of members of the media are relying on in justifying Udoka's being suspended. And they haven't put out if it's with pay or without pay, but he's going to be gone. They have laid the groundwork for this. They got him to put out a statement, said that I'm sure I'm sorry. I'm sure I'm sorry. I shouldn't have messed with that white woman.
But they suspended him for a year.
Yeah.
As it turns out, there was a bunch of rumors, and the Celtics were leaking all this bullshit saying, oh, there were multiple other people. Matt Barnes went on TV and said, oh, I shouldn't have supported Udoka because there's a bunch of other stuff out there, and it's bad.
Because there's like Matt Barnes and Kendrick Perkins and Stephen A. were two of the people who came out and said, this is ridiculous. This is a private matter between two grown adults, consenting adults. But the reality is that this woman's husband overheard her having conversation with her lover on the ring.
On the front door. She's like, fuck it. I'm playing with my
Well, there's
pussy.
a lot of things at issue here.
I'm playing with my pussy in the front porch. I
How
don't
much?
care.
What's the on a 0 to 10? What's your lack of respect for your husband when you brought the dude to the pad?
But wait, let's define this still. So
Okay.
he was suspended for 1 year. The Celtics leaked all of this information saying it was for repeated acts and multiple acts. It turned out it was for one.
Right.
And he was fucking this married chick right here. And she's Mormon. She's friends with Danny Ainge, and her husband works for the Celtics. So instead of it being this gigantic, this guy's a sexual predator, no, he just fucked one chick, and it happened to be a white chick.
Right.
It is stunning beyond belief that this guy is suspended in the NBA for he's not married. He can
Right.
fuck whoever he wants. She's an executive, her husband's an executive, and he's suspended, according to the Celtics owner, for dating someone at work. Now, if you go back to the Celtics owner and his wife, they met dating at work.
Right.
So this guy does this whole, oh my God, we hold certain standards and blah, blah, blah. He meets his wife working together. They work together. They were dating then.
Yeah. What happens is that this guy goes to Wall Street, goes to, I think, University of Chicago Business School. He gets out. He goes to work in Wall Street. After a few years, he puts together a group and they buy the Celtics in 2002 for a whopping $380 million. And the team conservatively is worth about $4.5 billion now. Now, in the interim, he happens to meet this young woman who is a serial entrepreneur, she says. And one of the things she was doing is they're putting together this company to make a tequila company. And it's called the Cinco Oros, which roughly translated means 5 golds. And they're going to make traditional blue agave tequila.
So what are the golds, though? What does that mean?
Well, the owners are multiple people who have gold. Michael Jordan is one of the owners of Milwaukee
Does
Bucks.
she have a gold?
Jeannie Buss is one of the owners.
she is? All
She
right.
does have a gold. You know what she won a gold in?
I do not.
I married the richest motherfucker of the group.
You think he has more money than Michael Jordan?
Oh yeah, for sure. The Celtics are worth at least $5 billion. That doesn't have anything to do
But
with
I don't
this.
think he owns them all. He owns like 30%, and there's an ownership group.
I guarantee you the Charlotte Hornets aren't worth $5 billion.
They're not, but they're worth about 2.3, and Jordan owns it all. So
Okay. Well,
let's just cut to the fact. You're a
fact of the
billionaire and that's
matter
your
is
wife.
this-
I'm disappointed.
No.
This is what pisses me off.
I understand
You're a
this.
multi-billionaire and that's your wife.
Right.
I'm pissed off.
Second wife. Second wife. So this is all
Now I'm
designed.
really
This was
bothered.
all designed to make all of the previous wives who've been left, to give them some hope in the world. Because they go, see, you don't have to be 20 and be a supermodel to get an incredibly rich man.
Well, especially if you have strong ethics, which is what the Celtics have,
Right.
because that's why they laid off or they suspended Udoka. How do you say that?
I think it's Udoka, but
Udoka. They suspend
call me
him for
wrong.
a year because he's having sex with another executive. And again, it's this hypocrisy. And this is why I keep saying to brothers, there has to be a factual basis for some portion of your life.
Right.
You can't allow just people to say, oh, there's certain facts and you don't know, and therefore you don't say anything. Matt Barnes went out and defended this guy and said, this is wrong. The Celtics came out and said, oh no, there's all kinds of other information. He did this, this, and this. And when it's all said and done, this whole issue is Udoka was fucking Danny Ainge's friend. That's it. And
Udoka was fucking a white woman. That's
Well,
just cut to the chase.
well,
Whether it's
she's
Danny
white. She was
Danny
white.
Ainge's friend or Grouse, whoever's friend it is, it's literally, this is the woman who was married. This is the woman who had children. This is the woman.
That's
This
his
is
wife.
not her. This
See,
is
that's what-
this is Grousebeck's
Now,
wife.
and then again, I understand.
But this is the same woman. Her husband is on the air talking about how wrong it is to have these relationships within the work environment. They were working together. Now they're married. You got to at least appreciate the hypocrisy there.
Well, but that's this part that what so fundamentally impacts the African American community negatively, and that is the absolute unwillingness to take facts and look at them honestly. When you allow one of your coaches to be suspended for a year based upon the fact that he was having sex with a person within the organization, if you don't step back and say, wait a minute, the owner, you met your wife working for an organization. It's a double standard, and it's this double standard which is killing black people. It's fucking crazy.
Well, it's
crazy.
This again is not it's not a black thing. It's
I think it is.
It's a people of color thing.
No,
The
the
same
NBA
stuff.
is
This
people of
same
color. The
stuff
NBA
is
is black people.
this
and so you got
the same
91%
stuff
of,
is done to Hispanics.
no,
the same.
it's not. There's no Hispanics in the NBA.
Well, why don't we just start with that fact? There's not a Hispanic coach. There's not a Hispanic. Well, there is one Hispanic player who's actually on the Lakers. I don't know if he's gonna make the 12-man roster, but we can start with that fact. When you start off, there's zero. There's zero referees. There's zero executives. But they're certainly
why
making
should
the money.
Hispanic executives be given more entree into the league than African Americans?
Never said they should be given
Well,
more.
let's start with the fact
you
that-
have to start with one.
Well, let's start with the 91% of African Americans who are in the league,
Okay.
and they are accepting double standards that are appalling. Udoka,
But why do you think they're accepting double standards? Do you think they like
of
getting kicked in the ass?
Well, just it's a lack of leadership. It's a lack of people with integrity. This is where LeBron James has to do something. He's the smartest one of the fucking group, and he should say, you can't suspend this guy for fucking a white chick. That's why he's suspended. It's nothing else. You fucked a white chick who was Mormon, and by the way, the NBA is not saying we won't hold any events in Utah where fans are yelling nigger, 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 and they're letting it happen. NBA is not saying that. But
what is that? What are you talking about?
oh my God, at the University of Utah games where they're calling a single African American volleyball player nigger,
dude.
nigger, it was appalling.
They debunked that one.
No, that's not debunked. I've seen it. It's horrible.
Well,
horrible.
Well, sure, it is horrible. It's rotten. It's childish. It's ridiculous. It's every one of those things. But at the end of the day, this is always about the same thing: is understanding the fucking fix is in. And so when you have a situation where you can make a African American or Hispanic or any other minority member kowtow and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I really did wrong," that's because that person understands you will never work again. The reason Matt Barnes is coming back and apologizes is because he will not work again.
And
they will literally remove your ass and you will not be seen again unless you play by the rules. And those rules are their rules. And if you don't have anyone coming out and saying, let's deal with the facts. when they leaked this idea that it was more than just this incident, but that he had used derogatory language towards her. That was the one that I lost it on, because this goes back to Emmett Till.
It offended her.
No.
Sensibility.
Emmett Till was beaten brutally in 1955 because a white woman said he whistled at me, or I think he whistled at me. That's right before he got fucking beaten to death.
Or it's
Michael?
before he did his kiddie porn thing, and he's like, "Oh, come fuck me in the ass."
That's not even funny, man.
That's hilarious.
It's not even funny.
It is funny.
So literally these white men were as completely disrespectful to this human being as, I don't know, someone talking about kiddie porn about him. And then they beat him to death based upon what the lady say in Central Park about the dog with the bird watcher?
I can't remember what that was.
I'm going to call the police, and I'm going to tell them there's a black man.
But
well, that's what we're talking
and
about.
again,
you literally are talking about whether it's Emmett Till being taken off to be brutalized and tortured by a bunch of white men because someone alleged.
You're equating those to be the same.
It is 100% the same.
Well, now, I disagree at some level that you can equate them, but it's the discriminatory animus and the fact that there's one standard for black people and one standard for other people. My point, the difference is Emmett Till was not 91% of an entity that's worth.
But he was 100% black.
Yeah,
so I don't care about 91%. I care about 100% who lost his life because a white woman said he may have whistled at me.
But they are
just like the Karen in Central Park who knows she's college, like Ivy League educated, and knows the one way to make sure the police will come and get me is all I have to say are the magic words, the magic incantations. There's a black guy. Boom, what's that? Hello, ma'am. Hello. There's 15 fucking cops.
We're beating them up right now. But, sir, you aren't here yet. We're just beating them up on the way.
Practicing. Literally, that's all she had to say. In Udoka's case, this cat literally takes the Boston Celtics to the finals. He literally is the toast of the town, and as long as they're winning, they're not saying a word about him. When they lose, they come out and they destroy his reputation because he had the audacity to talk to a white woman.
He's like, oh, I didn't talk to the bitch.
I talked to her with my dick. And the greatest thing about it is when they were floating this.
He says, in honor of Roger Smith. Isn't that guy?
No, when they were floating.
I'm trying to defame a whole religion.
Okay,
What's his name?
Right, I'm not going to do it with you. When they're looking for reasons we can fire Udoka and they joined the hashtag #MeToo because of improper relations. There's nothing improper. And then when that doesn't work, and Stephen A. Smith and Matt Barnes come out and say, hey, wait a minute. These are grown adults having sex. It has nothing to do with it. What's the first thing they went to? Oh, we have sources. And they literally quoted as their source. They said, there is a blogger named, and they named the blogger, not a news organization, not a sports agency, nothing.
Not Joe Rogan.
A white blogger. Joe Rogan wouldn't have done it. So there's some white blogger in Boston said, you know what I heard?
Yeah,
I heard he spoke to her brutally.
And I'm not disagreeing.
So then they went out and destroyed him. Now,
no question
they can't technically lynch him.
No question.
But they sure lynched his ass. They took his job.
There's parts of Boston where you probably could lynch him. It'd be all right.
But I'm certain it's right by the Garden, too. But if the dude would have won, put it like this, if he would have won the championship, would this all gone away?
Oh, I don't think so. I think this. I don't. I think that this was going to happen no matter what. When the season was over, the issue here is he fucked a white executive's wife. Danny Ainge put her there, and they're retaliating against him for fucking the white executive's wife. I don't agree that you can equate it to Emmett Till simply because. And my point is this, and that is the problem with the African American community is the fundamental inability to draw economic fucking boundaries and to say, we're not going to allow you to subject us to these appalling conditions, these appalling double standards. The simple truth is this: he is suspended for 1 year because he fucked a white chick whose husband was an executive. That's it. And the NBA doesn't have enough integrity and enough practical maybe it's a historical history in their lives to say, we're not going to allow you to treat us fundamentally differently based upon race. We're the economic force behind this. That's the issue.
Well, the issue,
That's
then,
the issue.
in that sense, I agree with you if you put some parameters on it. The Boston Celtics players need to go and say, you are not going to implement those rules against us, because you can say whatever you want. Kyrie Irving stands by what he believes. You can if Tatum sits down for the Celtics, season's over, because it's literally at some point in time, and you understand.
I agree.
You understand the only person who got fired
I
was
agree.
a black guy.
Yeah, I
The
agree.
white woman who participated in violating her oath, her vows, her promises, her job description, everything, talking to this man at their house, all of those things, is the victim here. She's not fired.
Well,
And her thing was her threat.
She's not the victim.
Her threat. No, I understand. I mean that as sarcastically as possible. Her threat was, well, he also talked to me meanly, because it's ultimate. It's ultimately their ultimate. It's the most base yet originalistic attack they've always made with black men and brown men. They can't trust their feelings because they're animal driven, and they have to have sex, and especially if it's a white woman.
Well,
because you can't come up with any other distinction.
But the chick didn't even say that directly. Again, these are all rumors that are being leaked by the Celtics.
Right.
And the Celtics are leaking this information because they want to impose one standard for the black guy, and this standard of punishment is because he fucked a white Mormon chick. That's the issue. And it's not just the Celtics. It's why the NBA is so fucked up. It's run by black people, and you got one black owner. If you guys would just simply do nothing other than, we're not playing. Bullshit.
Right. It's not run.
Bullshit.
It's not run by black people. Black people run in the league, as I keep pointing out to you.
Yes.
Black
African
people
Americans,
are run.
African Americans did nothing other than say, we won't allow you to suspend an African American professional who's at the top of his game because he fucked a white chick.
Right.
I mean, that really is Emmett Till shit. We're literally back to this premise of, you can fuck whoever you want, but you can't fuck a white chick. And the other part that drives me crazy is this idea that she's not suspended.
Right.
It's once again making one set of rules for people of color, another set of rules for white chicks.
And
she's the victim. She's not a direct report to him. Her husband is an executive.
Right. And let's play this out a little more too, because I think that's something that people are failing to appreciate. When this was first announced, they said, and can you believe she was in charge of making travel arrangements for Nia Long and her children to come to Boston and arrange places to stay and travel for Nia Long and her child that she has with this man, all the while she's fucking that woman's husband, baby daddy, smiling in their face, including the child. He's like 11. The whole time she's sneaking off to fuck around on her husband, her kids, and this woman. If there's a black eye to an organization, that's it.
Well, but it's again, it's we don't even have to have the black eye to the organization. It's the simple fact that this woman who did the exact same thing as this man she is portrayed as the victim, and the African American guy is portrayed as the attacker. When the truth is, there was consensual sex amongst two executives. One executive was suspended for a year. The other one is made to be the victim. Look at her poor husband.
Right.
Do you know they're just a good Mormon family?
Right.
That's all. It's the black guy did it.
And that's
The
also
black guy. But then the NBA, they're so fucking incompetent. And the chick, the chick agent, the chick president, I can't stand her. It's these African American people get into positions of power, and the first thing they do is sell out their fucking people. The head of the Players Association, a sister, goes along with this.
Well, you have to be
Goes
willing.
along
You
with
have to be willing to lose or risk something. You got to be willing to burn the shit down, in the sense that, live golf is going to turn into live basketball, because
Let's hope so.
Because literally
Let's hope so.
the amounts of power that are put in the hands of 31 white men who can go out and date whoever they want
God.
and fuck whoever they want and call anyone they want the N-word and put their dick in their face.
Nigger.
All of those things without any type of repercussions, because there's never any, you're being sanctioned the amount of the increase in profit from this year. So it just all accumulates. It never ends. But what you're talking about in this situation is Boston Celtics have a long history of being racist. And they're one of their statements they put out. They say, we were the first ones to hire a black player and first one to hire a black coach and first team to put out all 5 black players on the team at the same time. And it sounds fantastic, except when you get down to the brass, what is it, the brass tacks? Don't fuck one of our white women.
Yeah,
because all the history that we talk about is going out the window, because if you do that, you're gone.
I'm in agreement with all of that. My point is simply this window dressing that African American players in the NBA and their African American director of the Players Association accept is we were the first to do A, B, and C. Bullshit. Your players are subjected to more racial taunts in Boston than in Utah.
Right.
But the issue is still, this is not, I don't care about Boston. What I'm saying is if African Americans ever want to assume this position in society for which they've earned, it starts with saying you can't subject us to rules that harken back to the 1910s.
Right. And this is the reason why I severely disagree with you in the sense that this is all Emmett Till. We started this off by talking about Emmett Till. Somebody makes a statement, says that black guy did it. We go to basketball. We can show that things change. And we ended up today, right, with Adnan Syed was released today. He was cleared. 23 years in prison. 23 years in prison. As you can see, he's a man of color. As you can see, he
club member.
He's gotten a little older. He was sent to jail 23 years ago because a woman said that he did something. And there's a young Asian woman who was brutally murdered. And they arrested this gentleman who was 17 years old. And the government prosecuted him fully and refused to turn over information that they had 2 attackers, one person who had threatened to kill the victim literally the week before she was dead, and her car was found blocks away from this person's house. And the wonderful authorities here, the Baltimore, Maryland people, fought for 20 years to stop him from getting DNA done.
Yeah, but that DNA thing is ongoing.
The DNA completely exonerates.
No, but it's like not doing DNA in rape kits. It frankly cuts both ways, and this is fucked up too. And again, I'm not being negative, but he only gets out because he is a white lawyer. And again, nothing against multicultural.
He has This is the Innocence Project.
You look at the Innocence Project. They don't have this goes back to my NBA thing. African Americans have got to assert power over some things in their lives.
Well, I refuse to believe that human beings aren't at some level. We have allies. We work together.
When?
Well,
like in Boston?
You think in Africa they don't have doctors and lawyers? Of course they do. They have it in China. They have it in Africa. They have it there too. This gentleman is out because a group of people, I don't give a fuck if they're black, white, or green, have chosen to do the proper things, unlike the examples we keep bringing up. If that white woman did it or a green woman did it, the fact of the matter is that the truth and the right thing is so painfully fucking obvious in all of these situations that the only way you can't see it is if you're participating in the fix. The fix was in when they said, we won't give you DNA for 20-some fucking years.
Yeah, but
the fix is in when you got a white owner who gets on a private jet and say niggers to the back, white people to the front. Everybody saw it. Everybody heard it.
Agreed.
When these guys are screwing their secretaries and marrying them, and then you castrate the black owner by fucking hanging him up and keeping him in limbo for a year. Yeah. Did I say owner? Because that was fucking false.
Insanity.
But at the end of the day, so back to what I was saying,
but
it is Emmett Till, because when that woman went out and got that little boy beaten,
you mean the one looking over his shoulder?
Unrecognizably.
Let's see that again.
And every one of these situations where you have the very clear points of delineation where it starts. It's because they're fucking wrong, and they choose to do it because they know they can, because nothing will fucking happen.
What's because the system is intrinsically flawed, and if you don't participate at a high enough economic level, it gets imposed upon you. And that gentleman who, it's great that a Caucasian woman helped him in all of this. The truth is, and what I'm saying is this is part of the problem, and that's African Americans not taking economic advantage of their opportunities. The truth is if African Americans stood together in the NBA or the NFL and said, we're not going to tolerate it, you would begin to address these issues. What exists in society today is this premise, which is you can do whatever you want to black people and they're not going to do anything. Well, that's the problem.
You're making this sound like we live in a system where, I don't know, a woman can get raped by fucking 15 twins and their uncles and their cousins and be pregnant and they can't get an abortion. Are you kidding me?
Well, but again, and by the way, I make the similar argument to my oldest daughter, who I love to death, and I keep saying, abortion has nothing to do with sex or babies. It has to do with sexism against women. And if women are going to allow a bunch of primarily Caucasian men to say, here's what you can do with your body, then you're fucking idiots. It's the same thing.
You're right. It is exactly the same thing. As I said, when you have the negative animus that they had to start with Emmett Till and you pass it on to this person, on to that person, and it ultimately ends up in a place where apparently there's a bunch of white men who say, I can tell you to do whatever the fuck I say, and if you don't, I will fire your ass. I will impregnate your ass. I will do whatever the fuck I want.
And a group,
nigger.
And a group of African Americans that are multi-millionaires don't have enough fucking integrity or pride or belief in their community to say we will not tolerate
There's
this.
a lot of lot of co-opted morals in this world. That's for sure.
Well, but there's co-opted morals, but there's also just this premise where you look at these dudes and it's like, for real, you guys know the truth.
Well, but let's stop before we end.
That's
real quick.
craziness.
You're telling me that if LeBron James, oh God, forget. I mean, if we got LeBron James and you get Chris Paul and you get 5 or 6 other people and they go out and they have a press conference, kind of like back in the '60s when Muhammad Ali was out there, Kareem was out there, and they said we will not play again until you reinstate this man, that it would end.
I'm positive it would.
And I agree.
I'm positive.
I agree.
But can we just though? I still want to cover this because she's just not that cute. So what do you think that's about?
I just think you're kind of like a sexist pig on that.
You think so?
Yeah, I really do.
I don't think I'm being I don't want to fuck her. I just think she's not that cute. I don't want to fuck her. Zero chance.
Well, you don't have to worry about it because you don't own a fucking basketball team.
That's true. That's true. I'm not a multimillionaire. That is Twins at Law. We appreciate it.
We'll see you guys later this week.
Thank you. She's ugly.
She's not as ugly as what's his name's wife. Were you think?